Welcome to Keruga. As far as our opening hand, yes, we'll keep on this one. I've been playing Keruga a little bit, and we've got a lot of lands in here and a lot of good stuff in here, but I've been running into like all of our utility lands and just like 2 or 3 of them. So as soon as I saw 4 lands, I'm like, yes, we're going to keep on this one. So as far as what we're going to lead off with, let's just go and go for Prismatic Vista. Yeah, that'll work out. We're going to grab ourselves an island. Well, actually, we'll probably just go ahead and grab a forest because we do have at least 2 different dual sources. Let's grab ourselves this forest, and then I'm just going to tap this bad boy down. Anything else, we will pass the turn over to our opponent. But yes, welcome to some Keruga. I hope you're ready to sound those Simic alarms. Oh yeah, it's the name of the game. So we're playing Keruga. Whenever Keruga enters the battlefield, draw a card for each other permanent you control with converted mana cost 3 or greater. So Sky Shroud, Claim. Let's go Misty, and then we do have the option to leave up Negate. That way, if our opponent does have something like Life from the Loam or something, at least can kind of negate it, just to kind of slow the roll just a little bit. So yeah, playing Keruga. We've got the 2 monsters squaring up, which should be pretty fun. Keruga versus the Gitrog monsters. Some real Godzilla stuff right there. Play against the Gitrog monster. Death touch at the beginning of your upkeep. Sacrifice the Gitrog monster unless you sacrifice a land. Then you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Then whenever one or more lands are... Yep, can't do anything about that. Let's go and crack Misty. We'll go and grab ourselves a Breeding Pool. That way we can have that come into play tapped and not have to shock that in later. And then let them resolve the Satyr Wayfinder trigger. But yes, whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. So we got some pretty good stuff going on our opponent's side. They did whiff on Entomb in the graveyard, so that's a pretty good feeling. We could try to leave up Negate with like to stop their Cultivate, but we've got Cultivate into Sky Shroud Claim, and that sounds like a pretty good plan, partner. Let's go and go for it. One of the ways that you can beat Gitrog is just by simply getting ahead on resources quicker than they can, and that is going to be the game plan. So let's grab ourselves a forest, grab ourselves an island. Let's put forest onto the battlefield. Island goes into our hand, and then anything else, we will pass it back over to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/Jolt MTG, that will apply my affiliate link that allow you to get some cards and allow you to help chip in some mana to my mana pool. So if you do that, hey, much obliged. Also, let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you want to play the brand new set, it is not released in paper yet. So MTGOTraders is your source for any sort of commander play that you might want to do, you know. Considering that you're watching a commander video, it might be of your interest. So if you want to dive into MTGOTraders, hey, it's just a little bit of a learning curve getting used to MTGO, but once you do, oh man, it's a ton of fun. So yeah, be sure to check them out. And also, let's give a quick shout out to inkgaming.com/Jolt. If you go to inkgaming.com/Jolt, you'll be able to get some playmat or whatever sort of accessories that you want, and also help the channel at the same time. And last but not least, I think they have face masks too. So you want a stylish face mask, check them out. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. And if you are supporting the channel, hey, thank you very much. It really does make a difference. So, but it's officially free time now. Let's have some fun. I know, baby. We're about to rip this Sky Shroud Claim. Let's go. Sky Shroud Claim. If you don't know, Loretta's my production assistant. She's recording with me this morning. She loves mana ramp, just like me. Oh, search for 2. Duh, we don't want to just search for 1. Let's get both of those on the battlefield. And then we could just get a body for Keruga. Is that what we want, or do we want to try to leave up Negate? I mean, we're looking at a land drop from... Yeah, let's just leave up Negate. That way, if they do have some sort of land ramp spell or something, we'll at least be able to kind of catch that with Negate. But yeah, Manglehorn coming down right now is not going to be the best option, because they might still have, Thorian Dynamo, something that they might want to get down. So we'll at least just going to hold on to Manglehorn until we absolutely have to, because right now we've just got a bunch of little dudes on the battlefield right now. Satyr and Farhaven Elf. So our opponent's going to go for a Bazaar Baghdad activation. I kind of like going Cyclonic Rift on Gitrog. Yeah, let's do that. All right, we're going to send old Gitrog back to the hands. And then that way they're going to have to get rid of cards. Yeah, I like that. And one of the main things this is going to do is going to force him next turn to go for that. And this kind of frees us up to end up going for it, because we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to have 8 mana. So if we do just want to go for some sort of tempo card draw, we can end up going Keruga. We can end up going Manglehorn and Keruga. But I think what we'll probably end up doing is simply just going for probably Manglehorn and Biogenic Ooze, because that's going to be some pretty good stuff. And ooh, our opponent's got some very Very good options in the graveyard. So them going for Life in the Loam, they're probably going to want to dredge that. So we'll probably end up going for Negate on that, just to stop that. As long as we can keep delaying them turn after turn and slowly kind of progressing our board state, Keruga is really going to help us generate some card advantage. And that's one of the best things about, ooh, or we can just rip into Tatyova. Yeah, I think that sounds like a pretty good plan. Let's go Tatyova. I know, baby. We're about to get some really nice card draw. Let's go Tatyova. Let's have the land come down. That's going to be a card draw. Oh, yeah. And see if we can't rip into some. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. This is good. So, do we want to? I don't think we're that worried about negate on Life from the Loam next turn because they're going to have to dredge it, cast Life from the Loam, bring a couple lands back, then try to get down Gitrog. Yeah, I kind of like this because if we can set up a really nice Keruga, we can actually, and especially with Tatyova on the battlefield, this is also why the deck is called Keruga Words. I'll kind of jump into that. We got Words of Wind in here, and I think Winds of, or Words of Green. I can't remember what it's called. Let me look at my deck list. Let me get it popped over here. Oh, there it is. Words of Wilding. And so what these word cards is, if you don't know, these are enchantments. And so you have a replacement effect. So you can go for 1 mana activation on these. 1 mana activation, the next time that you draw a card, each player returns a permanent they control to its owner's hand. So one of the cool things about Winds of Words that you can set up is, there's a lot of times in Simic where you get to that late game and you just need like a mana sink. And the fact that we have different options, like we can drop in Keruga, we have Conjurer's Closet, we have some sort of flicker effect. There's just going to be a lot of times where you're in Simic and you have excess mana, whether excess mana, whether it's mana rocks, whether it's mana dorks, whatever that may be. Simply being able to kind of filter some of that into kind of like this weird Words of Wind kind of cyclonic rift on our opponent. I don't know, it's pretty cool. So, but we've got some really good mana set up. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8 total mana for next turn. Fingers crossed we run into a land drop for the turn because that'll be an extra card draw, and then we can really set up a nice board state between Biogenic Ooze and a Manglehorn. So, and we can also end up going Manglehorn and Keruga if we wanted to, because right now, if we end up going for Keruga, that's just simply going to be 2 Words of Wind. And if we end up just if we keep up with this Words of Wind, kind of slowly grinding our opponent out with returning those permanents, I feel like we'll be able to. Uh, Splendid Reclamation. All right, so this Words of Wind is not going to be so hot on this one. Okay, so we've got we just need to flood the board at this point now because because with this Words of Wind they can basically just return some of their filter lanes back, and since we don't have the best board state, the best mana developed, and they're swinging in with a couple mana dorks. I guess we just let that go through. I don't know what that one. If it's like Ulcerate or something like that, -2, yeah, we're not going to play into that. So, all right, so we run into Mystic Snake. So if they try to cast Gitrog, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 8 total mana. So we can try to jam just like a Manglehorn and leave up Mystic Snake if we want to. Yeah, because either way, that's going to cut us off. So, yeah, let's do that. So let's go and drop in Manglehorn. Probably not seeing a ton of action from our opponent on this one. And that still keeps us open on countering Gitrog Monster. I think that's going to be pretty good. So let's have old Manglehorn enter the battlefield. And then anything else? No, we're simply just going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. I guess we'll just go and get in for 3. Because even if they're chipping away at 1 and a 1... getting it for 3 would be a pretty good option. So, but yeah, at this point, once we end up going Mystic Snake, that'll really kind of help set up a really nice Keruga to get that card draw going. So, anything else, we will pass it back over to our opponent. But yeah, with Mystic Snake, we're going to leave this one up, hopefully just to send Gitrog back to the command zone. That Splendid Reclamation did do them really good. They've got a lot of lanes on the battlefield, so we almost don't have to worry about their commander attacks, but at least just kind of delaying it for a turn. That's one of the things that Gitrog wants to do is just generate so much value that the turn that it comes down. So if we can just kind of get that commander tax going up a little bit higher, that'll put us in a pretty good spot. And the good thing about Mystic Snake is it's not going to go back to the hand. It's going to get sent back to the command zone. So let's flash in Mystic Snake. All right, that's going to counter Gitrog, send Gitrog back to the command zone. That should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, actually, Lake of the Dead, they can sacrifice a swamp, but it looks like they only have one swamp. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So actually, that might cut them off the Gitrog monster this turn. They would end up having to sacrifice Lake of the Dead, I think, to sacrifice that swamp, which is really not that bad. Oh, excuse me, they do have Command Beacon too, so they can sacrifice Command Beacon. Now, they do have Life from the Loam in the graveyard, so if they do have any sort of card draw option, they can bring that back and really bounce back from these lands. But you can see how resilient Gitrog is. You know, if you've never built Gitrog, you've never built like this kind of Golgari Life from the Loam style deck, it's just very hard to beat sometimes. Pretty much, you know, you just need to shut their graveyard out. But just getting those land drops turn after turn, you know, when you end up going for Life from the Loam, I'm like an unofficial salesman for Life from the Loam, if you didn't know that. Life from the Loam is just such a good card. You know, being able to dredge 3, draw into all those different cards, or technically draw into the cards when they go into your bin, that really kind of help you, you know, just smooth out the late game, because you're always going to be able to make land drops. So, but with us having this board state, we're probably going to end up going for Keruga next turn. We do have Negate. I'm not entirely sure what Negate would help us out with at this point in the game right now. Pretty much the only thing that we probably would have wanted. I know, baby. We should have held it. We should have held it for Splendid Reclamation. But, yeah, well, you know, everyone can't be psychic, baby. Loretta just told me that she anticipated that Splendid Reclamation. And then they did end up off that one card draw. It looks like they did end up dredging Life from the Loam to get a few extra cards in the graveyard. And this is a very heavy Golgari build. We've got Uncle Gary in the graveyard with Golgari Grave Troll. There's the Brown Scale in the graveyard too. And where did that activation come from? That land just went into the graveyard. So they've got 4 mana left. Liliana at the Dark Realms. So with Liliana, they can end up going for... Okay, they're actually going to search for a swamp. So let's see what they end up grabbing off this. They might... I don't know if Urborg... Yeah, Urborg's technically not a swamp per se. So they're going to get that swamp down, and I think that's going to be their entire turn. Now, if we can set up a Keruga to send stuff back to their hand, that might help. But that's just going to give them land drops at this point. So we're probably just going to hold back on that. Yeah, at this point, let's just go for Keruga. This is exactly where the deck wants to be. Let's see if we can't get a few extra land drops too, because if we can tag along with Keruga entering the battlefield and Tatyova landfall triggers, that's going to be pretty good. So let's get the land drop down for the turn. That's going to be Homeward Path. This will be an extra card draw and a life gain. Yavimaya Coast. And actually, yeah, I think let's do this. So we're definitely going to have the City's Blessing. Let's go Mana Crypt. That's going to be 1, 2. Ooh, no, we don't want to go for 1 Power Stone. Let's go Tender Shoot Dryad, because at this point, we do want to be able to start pushing it at our opponent. So it'd be nice if we had Negate or Disdainful Stroke up for a counter spell. I mean, for a board wipe. But at this point, the longer Gitrog sticks around with all these different land drops and the bigger their graveyard gets, the worse it is for us. So we kind of need to be aggressive on this one, unfortunately. So anything else, let's go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So we do have Yavimaya Coast coming down next turn. That will be a card draw with Tatyova. We'll see what we can rip into. I think at this point we almost need to kind of hoof it out. We do have Crater Hoof in here, and we also do have a Thunderfoot Baloth. One of the other things that we do have in here is Biomass Mutation, which is a pretty cool thing. So, and also, you know, just value stuff like Tender Shoot Dryad, because we're going to get a sapling token every single turn, even our opponent's upkeep. If our opponent's, you know, we'll see what sort of build of Gitrog we're kind of playing against. There's different ways that you can take Gitrog to where you can just basically cycle out through your deck. So if that's what we're playing against, that might be, we might see if we're in a good spot for that. But other than that, you know, this is a very good indication of what you want to be doing with Keruga. It's just flooding the board with a bunch of creatures, and then hopefully finding some of your late game threats. So let's go on. Since there's kind of a lot of mechanic stuff with Gitrog, I'm going to let our opponent kind of cycle through their turn really quick, and then I'll jump into commentary if something happens. Okay, so they will end up dredging the Brown Scale. That's going to allow them to gain a couple different life, and that was just during their upkeep. So once again, we're going to let them go through this turn, and then I'll jump into commentary if they do something crazy. Okay, so that's going to be Liliana's Death Majesty. We're not super worried about that at this point right now, because really the worst thing that we're looking for is like a -3 return target creature card from their graveyard. And I think We're looking at Yavi Maya. Titania would not be that good. So if they want to be aggressive, Titania would definitely kind of compete with this Tindershoot Dryad. Yeah, and that's exactly what they're going to go for. So that's going to get a lot of tokens on the battlefield. Yeah, so at this point, well, actually, there are like 33 cards in the library. Good God. And this is why talking about Dredge is so good, because they've already, we're at 74. They've already seen 2/3 of their deck, and we're only 1/3 of the way through our deck. So, and we're playing Sound the Simic Alarm. So that's why I'm always real happy to talk about Life from the Loam, because it can just make some really nice stuff for you happen. Man, it is a beautiful graveyard. But outside of this is looking pretty rough. We'll see if they have any sort of game plan as far as closing the game out with any sort of. I know there's different combos you can run with Gitrog, so we'll see if they've got anything like that. All right, so Life from the Loam on 3 lands. Okay, so this is Liliana Vest. They're going to be able to go for the +1 if they want to. Search your library for a card, put it on top. This is like this weird Liliana tribal inside of the Gitrog monster. Let's see if there's anything like search your library for a card, put it on top. So they can sacrifice a land. Or they can probably get some sort of land into the graveyard somehow to draw into whatever they tutor with Liliana. So let's see what's in store for us. Yeah, I mean, we could have left up Disdainful Stroke or Negate. But yeah, we just needed to get the boards. We need to have some sort of board state developed, because typically turn 7, turn 8, turn 9 against Gitrog, they're going to be closing the game out. So it would have been nice to hold up one of these to kind of stop some of this, but we'll see what's in store for us. Uh-oh, so we've got Tetsamok. Oh man, that's a bummer. We got Tetsamok just staring us down from across the side of the battlefield. Oh, that's a bummer. Look at this. We got okay. Tetsamok is pointing at us, each of us, sitting on the battlefield. Yep, there we go. I will give this a shout out to our opponent. Typically with Gitrog, you do run into some super hyper competitive builds. This looks like a pretty sweet build of Gitrog. I do have Gitrog Enchantress, but this is like this weird Liliana. I don't know. This looks pretty cool. So, all right. So we're gonna have old Tetsamok come down. Tetsamok eyed all of us on the battlefield, and he's gonna scoop them all up and eat them all up. There we go. It's gonna be our board state. Yoink. That does send Keruga back to the command zone. We can Keruga for a little bit of land. I mean, a little bit of card draw, but we just got 8 by Tetsamok. So, but I mean, that was like a 12 mana board wipe right there. So they paid the iron price for that bad boy. Okay, so that was enough from our opponent. They go for the Tetsamok. Let's see who's going to be swinging in. Looks like they've got at least 8 coming across in creature damage, so that will put us down to 17. And then we'll see what we draw into for next turn. So, but yeah, with stuff like Words of Wind, this is good in a deck like this. Our opponent just happened to get to that point quicker. If you can outvalue your opponent, if you can out-ramp your opponent, having stuff like Words of Wind right there really does help out. But in a game like this where they go for the Splendid Reclamation, hey, that's a little rough. So let's go and choose tails on this one. 1 the flip. We are 1 for 1 on those Mana Crypt triggers, and we draw into Reliquary Tower. Little late to the party there, partner. So we are at 17, so that's going to be 1, 2, that's going to be 8, that's going to be 9, that's going to be 14, that's going to be 19. So yeah, that's definitely lethal. So I mean, I guess we've got Biogenic Ooze on a token, but yeah, that just does not sound that good. Let's give it a shot. So that's going to be Biogenic Ooze, because that's going to give us at least a body on the battlefield. And I think that's just enough to go for Keruga, and we still have the land drop to make too. So let's have Biogenic Ooze come down. That's going to give us at least another body. We can stop some of this damage. I don't think anybody has Trample, which might end up being a pretty good option for us. Let's go for Keruga. All right, have old Keruga enter the battlefield. Cashing in 2 card draw. It's better than 0 card draw. So we'll go for Keruga, see what we rip into. But yeah, we already used that Cyclonic Rift as a tempo play earlier, so we may not be able to get out on this one. But yeah, anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So we do have Biogenic Ooze blocking on, let's say, Tetsamok, because that is a 6/6. We've got Gitrog coming across. That is another 6/6. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. Probably not going to swing in with Titania, because we can at least trade with Titania. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 8. Yeah, I mean, they don't have the best alpha swing, but we might be able to kind of survive until next turn to kind of see what's going to happen. But yeah, let's go and let them kind of cycle through this turn, then I'll jump into commentary if they do anything. Wait, so I was trying to let our opponent cycle through the turn, but apparently they they lost the game because they drew too many cards. So anyway, hey, we close it out. That's all we have to do was just simply just pass the turn and let them do that. Yeah. So sorry, what giving commentary. Sometimes when people have a mechanical deck like that, when it gets to late game, I just kind of like pause, back off commentary. That way, I'm not just rambling. But apparently they. I was checking on Baby really quick, and I just saw that the game closed. But yeah, apparently they just drew themselves out of the game. So, hey, Keruga locking the game down. So anyways, if you enjoyed the game, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks, bye.